to try to identify you as far as who you are and what you represent. And if there's identification that, hey, look, I came from a very poor background. I'm white Caucasian. I've worked hard all my years, just couldn't make it through. If you could show the administration that you're presenting it to that you feel that you've been represented, you could have some opportunities to get certified. If you're a white male military gentleman, if you're a white female, and you know your business, either marketing, you know the products, you know the administrative part of it, you show that you are running things, yes, by all means, you can get certified. If you're African American female, if you're Korean, Asian Pacific, if you're also feel that because you're gay or you're lesbian and you've had some hardships in your life under this lifestyle, you can identify that you're trying to overcome it as being an effective small business entity. The federal government, through their inquiries, can certify you potentially. So this is real. A lot of what happens, some people get in there and make it into a sham. And the administration sometimes, unfortunately, just rubber stamps it, approve, approve, approve. When there's real work to be done, when there's an identification that I'm going to allow this individual who's been suppressed because he has been gay and that he has shown segments in his life where he's really had hardships. And if he's willing to come in and work, that gentleman is willing to come in and work, then the administration, the federal government, state administrators will make sure that, or should make sure that they try to connect them and get them in line for either to become a prime contractor, a subprime contractor, or to sell their goods and services any kind of way, just, without even contracts, just to say, okay, here are some others that ask for legitimate small business entities that are certified. So it is a good process when it's run right. And that's one of the things that I've tried to generate awareness with President Trump's administrative staff, as well as Vice President Biden's presidential staff, presidential candidacy staff, to say, hey, look, if you guys are going to still have this program, it needs to be straightened up. Look right now, the SBA manages the PPP loans. It is nationwide that minorities are not getting their fair share of government loans to assist their small businesses during this pandemic crisis.
So, John, I'm going to ask you this strictly from, well, I don't even know if I should say from a personal or a business standpoint. I don't want to put you in any hot water. But if we were looking at from the viewpoint of a minority small business owner, how is the outcome of this election going to affect small businesses? Can you chime in on that? Or does that put you too much on the hot box?
No, trust me, I've been on hot box many a times. I need to tell this story right quick. There was a phase in my professional career. I applied and was accepted to be the next vice president of the Nashville Airport Authority. I got the call from the senior vice president of human resources 3 days before Christmas. Congratulations, John. You're the next senior vice president of operations. And then the very next morning, I got the call from the CEO who told me, hey, John, we didn't know you had all this luggage in your background. We are removing your offer, the offer we gave you yesterday. Have a nice Christmas. So it doesn't put me in the hot seat. Trust me, I'm not worried about that. what was the question right quick? I just want to specify.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, John, the outcome of the election,
Right.
depending on
Okay.
who's president, how's that going to affect small
Right.
business owners?
Right. If we continue to go the way we're going now with the ongoing president and his staff, I don't think that there will be much. I think the women and minority programs will still just be in existence with the reflex that we see out there, that the White House may end up closing them because of their claim of financial constraints. All right. Now, with Mr. Biden, Vice President Biden, I think that he will not let them go away. But I think it's very important. Again, I sent this to his staff currently. Unless you have either a secretary or a task force director that will watch and monitor this nationwide, you're still going to have waste, fraud, and abuse. The good old boy system is alive and well. Doesn't make any difference whether it's going to be President Trump or Vice President Biden to step up, unless there's going to be some real policy changes into these programs. You've got the Department of Treasury, you've got the Department of Commerce, you've got the SBA, you've got Federal Reserves, which is really not even a federal government program. You've got all these money programs, and there is no tie-in to monitor to make sure that women, minority, military veterans, disabled military veterans, and LGBTQ are receiving their fair share and eliminate much fraud and abuse and neglect. There should have been ways to watchdog this during the PPP loans. Now all of a sudden minority businesses didn't get their fair share because there was fraud,
John, I just got to say, would be to God we could get a guy like you to run for president.
I did run for the state department, state of Tennessee's Democratic chairman's position. I did that a few years ago. Thank you.
I'm very serious when I say that. And speaking of good guys doing good work, John, I ask every guest on the Legacy After the Locker Room podcast to partner with us to support Special Olympics. I'm going to do the same thing with you, sir. And I'm going to say, Mr. Pointer, on behalf of Legacy After the Locker Room, would you please join me in supporting Special Olympics with an autographed gift?
Yes, I will.
And can I ask what that will be?
It'll be a surprise. I'll get it to you.
Hold on. This is what I'm going to say. I'm just going to let you speak for a little moment, and I will tell all of our listeners who are watching this on Facebook Live, I'm just going to pan over to Mr. Pointer when he was Mr. October. John, I'll let you tell that story just because I think it's so great, but I'm going to show our audience what I'd love to see autographed by you. That's probably terrible.
When I was in Canada, a Tom Clement who played at Notre Dame, star quarterback, and he was a star in the Canadian Football League, and he's been for decades now a great coach and offensive coordinator for the NFL teams. His wonderful wife devised a process in Canada for several of us to come together and let's create a calendar, and the proceeds were going to go towards Special Olympics in Canada, and it was going to be sold in major office, like an Office Depot, or and I told Kayla that after the sales, we generated over $1 million in sales to support Special Olympics. So it was a great cause. And yes, that's when I was Mr. October.
I feel like I just objectified a former NFL businessman, and I'm so sorry for that, but I think it's such a great story. And I really appreciate the way that you did support Special Olympics all the way through. That says so much about your character. So thank you, John. I will say this, we're just about ready to wrap up the podcast. Before we do, any last words, bits of wisdom, anything you'd like to add, John?
Don't let anybody turn you down. Don't let anybody turn you around. Don't let anybody stop you of what you have been praying for, working on, talking to friends, family, getting on the internet, talking to collaborators in what you're trying to develop. Stay focused on it. It may not come around in weeks. It may not come around in months. It may take years, but you stick to it and it could happen. It will happen.
It's wonderful advice. John, I want to say once again, thank you for what you're doing with the SBA. Thank you for helping everybody get their foot in the door for creating hope and possibility. My name is Kayla Bradham. This is the Legacy After the Locker Room podcast, and I want to remind you to live your legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Kayla.